Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to thank and pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Hi everyone, and welcome to Room by Room, the Home Organization Science Insights podcast, produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We're champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element, with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm your host, Gabriella Joustra, coming to you from Naarm, Melbourne, Australia. Let's begin. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today we're going to be mastering laundry room organization for optimal fabric care with Tristin Chiafullo, who is a professional home organizer at Tristin Intentional Living. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you. I hope I said your name correctly. If not, do you mind introducing yourself in a bit more detail so we know more about you?
You said it perfectly.
Thank you.
No, you said it great. Yeah, I am. As you've said, I'm a professional home organizer. And yes, I have a business here in Houston, Texas for, I guess it's going on almost 3 years. But I've been organizing spaces since forever. So, but yeah, and any room or space in the home is not too much of a challenge for me. So yeah.
I'm guessing then you had a very organized kid's bedroom, starting from like 3 or something.
I did. I really did. This has sort of been since forever thing. I've always needed and liked having things in order where I could find them easily. And yeah, so it was just the best kid ever. Always putting my things back where they belong. So yeah.
My parents would have loved that. I definitely wasn't like that.
No, well, I mean, most kids aren't, but that's why I guess I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a section called Have You Met Tristin, where we get to know you through some of your favorite things. So the first thing I'd like to know is, what is your favorite book?
Yeah. So I want to use this opportunity to answer that and talk about a book that is my favorite right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Minimalista. And it's by an influencer, a minimalist influencer that I have just really grown to adore. And I just love all of the things that she does. And and it's just basically a sort of, just a guidebook of just living, sort of minimalist lifestyle. She talks a lot about wardrobe as well. So that is my current favorite book. So nonfiction, I think my answer and really in terms of getting to know me as the basis for the question would be I really love learning. So I gravitate towards nonfiction. And I love biographies too. So biographies, learning about a person, human interest stories, and then just learning. So not a huge fan of fiction. So, yeah.
I mean, that's what this podcast is about. It's about learning. Thank you for the suggestion for the book as well, Minimalista, because we always love being able to provide our listeners with new books that they can find and read and learn more.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
And what about any movies? Have you watched any movies recently that you enjoyed?
So, yes, I watched very recently because it's I don't watch movies often, but I watched Eat, Pray, Love recently and really enjoyed it. It's a movie I had seen before, and it's one of those movies that for me is just it never it never gets old. It never feels like I'm never bored of it. I just really enjoy it. And but yeah, it takes place in Italy and then India and Bali. She goes on this year-long just kind of quest for discovery and healing from a divorce. So there's that relationship and love component, and then finds love in the end, and just her journey throughout discovering all of these different amazing new experiences. So yeah, I just watched that and loved it again.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we rewatch these movies, because you know that you're going to love them, and they're such comfort
Yeah.
movies.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And do you listen to any podcasts?
So I listen to so many. That's all I listen to, actually. When I get up in the mornings, I have a routine. I mean, the podcast goes on. So there's several. They're
Okay.
mostly health and fitness related. There's a home organization podcast. I listened to y'all's podcast since I was introduced to it. So yes, I listen to yours
Thank you.
because again, it speaks to my interest in learning. I love learning, and I'd love to hear others, particularly other organizers' perspectives and their experiences on things. It's really interesting. So I've enjoyed your podcast a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so just health and fitness. Andrew Huberman, um, I love his, Paul Saladino's podcast. And then there's an home organizing made simple. Home organizing marketing made simple. And I listen to that. She doesn't produce a lot of them. It's very sporadic. So whenever there's a new episode of that, I listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, just anything health related. So,
Amazing. And
yeah.
so there's there's a podcast about home organizing, how to market it. I
Yes.
just love how niche some podcasts are.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. And Shanna Goodman is the podcaster and creator. And she's great. She always has new, really valuable information to share with it on the podcast. It's information that you can take immediately and apply. And so I love that. Yeah. So that's cool. You may want to check her out, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you have a role model?
Um, you know, I would say, and I had thought about this question quite a bit, and I think what kept coming to mind were my clients actually, because that's who I learned the most from. When I think about a role model, I think about it in a different way. Um, could I rattle off, some, really, big organizer who's done a lot? And yeah, but that, to be honest, they don't really do anything that I can't do. Who I learn from are my clients. Each and every one of them has a different issue or problem, or that's so unique, and it helps me be better. And that's what I think a role model should do, and because any new challenge that I'm presented with, or new pain point for them in their home, it makes me better, because I take that with me, and then it helps me to, anticipate needs of future clients. So it just makes me better. So yeah, I'd say my clients.
Oh, that's great. I haven't had that. We've had a lot of people come on the show and they name, a lot of famous people, a lot of parents. Haven't had clients before, so that's amazing. And I'm really seeing a huge theme of learning. And I think that our last question, getting to know you, is also going to hit on that theme of learning. And it's a course that have you completed any courses that have inspired you?
Yes. So, well, I read Marie Kondo is I'd say an inspiration for me. I mean, could I put her in the category of a role model? Yeah, I mean, I'm great with my answer with that, my clients, but I would say as far as inspiration, somebody who's inspired me, and I've read her book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And that was when I had that aha moment of, okay, this talent, this gift that I have could be a real business,
Hmm.
because I don't know. It's just after having read that book, it was like a course. And she does offer courses. They're just quite pricey, and then the time commitment too. Um, so maybe that's something I'll do in the future. But her book for me was something more accessible and for me to learn from. And I did, and it was great. And I highly recommend it for anybody wanting to just have some really straightforward, practical, um, guidance to living in a much more controlled environment and tidy environment. So yeah.
That's so interesting that you didn't consider being an organizer. You just sort of thought that this was, I guess, who you are. It's not something that you can use to help other people until you've read her book.
It's true. It really is.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it evolved too a bit from there. But that was the definite the start, and hence, the question of inspiration for sure.
Interesting. So now that we know what got you into home organization as a business, I'm going to get you to define home organization and what you think it is.
Yes. And I love that question. And I probably have a very different answer than most. And home organization to me is living in an environment that reflects who all of the people are that live in that home, but that allows each and every one of those people to do the things they really love outside the home or inside the
Hmm.
home if they're homebodies and they want to be inside. But I think what it really means for me and what inspires me and what makes me so passionate about it is having that environment to where that you're free, you're mentally free from any chaos, any stress, any potential you know conflict with each other because you can't find this or can't find that, right? All of that's eliminated. It's peace, optimum function, and again, it's utility. It's really, yes, should it have things in it that you love and that bring you joy? Yes, of course. But for the most part, it's a utility. And it allows the people in it to do the things and spend the time, their time, which is, I think, our most valuable commodity, doing the things that they love. And then also having the best relationships with each other. Because the way that the home is functioning is just something they don't even think about. It's just second nature. It's utility, right? Everyone knows where everything is.
Mhm.
And when you need it, you know where to go to get it. That will enhance whatever it is that you're doing, either by yourself or together or outside the home in life.
And
So
I think
that's what
that
it is to
thank you. And I think that sort of does explain maybe what we're going to be talking about today, and the connection between, the home, but also, so we're talking about laundry room organization and how how the function of the laundry room, helps us to keep our clothes clean. Because I've certainly been in laundry room situations where it's just such a hassle to keep your clothes clean, that you don't really want to do it, and it's a cause of arguments. So I'd love to talk to you today about how you can create a laundry room space that optimizes, and helps us with keeping our clothes clean.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Mm.
It's a great topic because, we wear clothes every day. We live in them. Um, and we spend our lives in clothes. So they're a necessity. And
Hmm.
yes, the care for them is is just as important as how we feel in those clothes. So
So you have spoken about this a little bit already, but do you mind explaining, how does the laundry room organization sort of feed into fabric care and clothing care?
yeah, a lot, actually. So, you know, there's a couple different facets to answering that question. Um, well, first, having sorted clothes, knowing what to wash with what to optimize the longevity of that garment. And then there's the component of how to and what to use product wise. And then, of course, how it's all set up. So here's what I want to touch on in answering that question that's important is if a laundry room is organized and set up, you and that's conducive to proper care, you're going to give the clothes proper care. And on the flip side, if it's not, you're not. You're much less likely to throw in, towels with denim and all the right, your delicates with just like I can't even say it. It's hard to say it because it would makes me it makes me cringe. Um, does that make sense? So the having it organized is going to make it so much easier to care properly for all the things, your clothes, the towels, everything, which should be washed separately, by the way. And so obviously every home is different. I have a simpler life. I get that because I don't have a bunch of kids running around, um, or animals and all the things. I mean, they play a role too. And so, but for a busy family, it's really important to have products obviously organized and then that you're using, and I want to get to that too because that's really important. And then a place to hang things. That's really important too because the dryer heat is damaging to clothes. um Towels, it's okay, but it really is important that, and I don't know how much you want me to get into this because I'm getting into the care. Um, but yes, to answer the question directly, having it set up properly is going to allow for a much easier decisions to be made for proper care.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to actually get into some of the more nitty gritty, I
Yeah.
guess. But let's start
Yeah.
in some stages. I guess the first thing is, for me at least, is the sorting. Now
Yep.
I can say for my household, we have a laundry basket in the bedroom, and everything gets thrown in there. And
Okay.
we come to arguments because I sort everything before I put it in the washing machine. my partner just throws everything in the washing machine without looking and seeing what's in there.
That would drive me insane.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes. So to speak to that challenge, I would definitely have bins that look good. They make these now to make it really easy to have, whites, darks. I separate towels, and then any bedding. I don't know how you're doing that. Typically, I do that. It's sort of one fell swoop where it's not going in the laundry, where it's coming off the bed, and then that just is going into, the laundry or the washing machine straight away and getting washed and dried and all the things. But as far as clothes, separating lights from darks, and towels separate. Towels should always be washed separately from everything else.
Okay.
And intimate. So here's the thing with answering that question, and there's every single home is different, and the amount of things that because there could be one person in the home and there could be 5, there could be 10, you know what I mean? So obviously it's very nuanced in terms of how you're going to organize that. So I can have 10 different answers for that same question because there's so many different scenarios. But I would say as a basic rule of thumb, lights and darks that's pretty straightforward, and having that separated does possibly prevent, what's happening in your home. If your partner is, seeing, okay, darks, lights, if they're actually doing that. So the system, here's the thing. The systems are only as good as the people using them, if that makes sense. So you can set up a system, but are they going to utilize it? The hope is, and my goal always is that it's so simple that a stranger could come in and be able to do it, So yes, but I'd say, and I always come from a place of what is the simplest, what is going to, because here's the thing too, a lot of organizers can make something really pretty and they can come in and implement all of these things without really having a conversation that's thorough enough with the people living in it to ensure that, yes, they're going to do that. They're going to really utilize this system, right? So I think that's the most important thing, is to really ask the client's questions about how, what's realistic for you? Will you do this? Right. And then most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's yes. If there's a system in place, then I'll do it. Sometimes life gets in the way and you get hurried and things can get mixed up. But yes, if you care about the longevity of your clothes, then yes, you'll take that extra time and make a little extra effort to ensure that you're washing things at the right temperature and like colors together. And yes, to ensure that, they're not only going to look the best that they can while you have them, but last as long as they possibly can too. So, yes.
Okay, so you're recommending maybe a 4 basket or a 4 bucket system.
If you have room for it. If there's room, some people have small spaces and they'll say to me, but Tristin, I don't have room for that, or I don't like that. And what do I do? And I was like, well, it's just you're going to spend a little more time later. You're going to sacrifice something. You either sacrifice the integrity of the clothes, or you sacrifice a little time. Okay. Or you get the system and you do something. You have some sort of new containment that's going to allow for that to be easier. So yes, if you have the room for it, highly recommend. There's so many options out there and that do look good and that do make it easier. The ones that you just like, I like the ones that it's a unit and they're like canvas bags and you can just take the bag, right? And you
Ah.
take it from your closet to the laundry room, and then that's one load. You have it already separated, you know? So yeah, that for me, I think works. Those work great.
Great. I'll have to have a look and see. And also talk to my partner and see if he's going to do that.
Check. You have to just ask, you know, and present it in a way that is to make it easier for both of us. Even though you're the one doing it right, you don't want to say, since you're not doing the laundry right and you're just throwing it, you know what I mean? This is what we're going to do. You know, people are much less, they don't respond as well to that. So I think that helps too in how we communicate with each other about those kinds of things. Hey, this is going to make it easier for us both, you know, do this thing, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And then I'd also like to know about, like, you know, I guess how to store, but also what products we should have, and yeah, how to store them.
Okay, I love this question. This is my favorite question because I'm super passionate about using free and clear detergents. You know, no dyes, no fragrances. That not only are all of those detergents really bad for your clothes, they're really bad for your skin. They're chemicals. It's toxic chemicals. And so here's what I do. And you know, I'd love for everyone to do this. It seems like when I tell people about it, they're like, well, that just seems like a lot of time. It is so not. The benefit that you get is incredible. So I use anyone, you know, it's just called Free and Clear. And it has very minimal ingredients. And I use to scent, and I brought to show what I do. So I use essential oils. So what you do is you can put your Free and Clear detergent, you know, in the thing, and then it's really as simple as taking this. It's a little Doppler, and then you just put a few drops in there, and that adds the scent. And it's a pure essential oil. This happens to be eucalyptus. If you want, like for your sheets, lavender is so great, you know, for sleep. It's a calming. So I use this whenever I do my sheets. And towels too, because I like that. Or, I mean, really, it's like the scents that you kind of gravitate to. And they're great. You can get them on Amazon. You know, like this is like lasts so long. And it was like, I don't know, $10 for this big bottle. It's so great. And then your clothes will smell like a spa. And then I use the Free and Clear sheets to dry your sheets, or the wool, the balls, the wool. And then I just do essential oil onto the wool, and then that will scent. You know, it scents them, and those are great too. If you really want to, you know, go super non-toxic. But yes, and I want to say this too, that never, and I see it all the time, never use any kind of fabric softener sheet with towels.
Okay.
And that is the biggest mistake that I see. And it makes me crazy. And it's just like, people just don't know. My mother taught me this when I was really young. This is when I learned this. But the sheets leave a film on the towels that repel water.
Oh.
So you don't want that. And so, but the response I get from people is so funny. They're like, well, how do you make your towels soft? And I'm like, they're already soft. But to answer your question, I do two other things. Baking soda. I get it at big, huge quantity, and I put it in a glass jar. I just pour it in there and have a little scooper, and then that goes in the machine, just straight in. It brightens. It's so good. And then I get these, and then I put white distilled vinegar. And then this is what I put in where it says fabric softener or bleach. There's the little, everybody's washing machine is different. So, but most of them have that. And then I put white distilled vinegar in there, and that softens the clothes. And then I'll put more of the essential oil in there as well. So it adds a scent.
Okay.
That's all you need. Yes.
I have a few questions going back to with the essential oils. Can you use any essential oils, or does it have to be a specific one?
Yeah, I would ensure that it's therapeutic grade, 100% pure, organic. Those are the things you want to look for. You don't want any that are, and it'll show the ingredients. It should have one ingredient.
Yeah.
Whatever that essential oil is. You don't want anything added to it. Right? So so it's in its most pure form.
Okay, great. And another question I don't have a dryer, and I've always wondered this. What are dryer sheets for?
You don't have a dryer?
No.
Okay. Dryer sheets are to get the wrinkles. It as it's tumbling in there, it softens the clothes, removes static. So if you have any static cling or anything like that, it does help with that. So that's why I do like them, because that is a thing and it does work. But if you're like, for example, that only matters though when you've got, say, I don't know, a polyester sock, and you've got your intimates with maybe some other like pajama clothes or things. Those can kind of stick to each other. So I use those. Now, back to my point of not using the sheets on towels. Towels don't produce static cling. They just don't. So you don't need them. They don't wrinkle. You know what I mean? If you take them out as soon as the cycle is done, they're perfect. You just fold them and you put them away, right? So those are all moot points. That's why you don't need it. So does that answer?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's more like that personally was a personal question, because as someone who I don't have a dryer. My parents had a dryer, but they never really used it. I see people talk about dryer sheets, but I've never really known what they're for. So I was just curious.
Yes. Yeah, that's what they're for. And they do work, but you can almost, everything can be nice and soft without them.
Okay.
Just use the bit. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So you've mentioned, that you like to buy, a big bulk thing of presumably vinegar and the baking soda, bicarbonate of soda, and store it in the glass jars. But how do you kind of put them in the laundry room so they're easy to access? I've got my detergent underneath the sink and, it's fine, but it's a bit annoying to have to get it out every time.
Yes. So if you have, again, everyone's is different. This is what I like to do. I've seen like decanters for detergent, and people do all these fancy things. If you want to do that, do that. If you have the time to do that, God bless you. You know what I mean? But for me, get a nice basket and just have detergent. That's what I do. I have my detergent, and then I have a container within the basket that corrals all of my oils and my vinegar, right? And so it's contained within a container, so it stays, in there, organized. And then the dryer sheet box, which I have here and I can show you, right? I keep it, people decant these things I don't see a need to do that. If you want to put this in something fancy, go ahead. But I just put it in the basket. It's easier. I would rather spend my time doing other things than decanting detergent. And you know what I mean? But also to your question, I want to say less is more. The thing that I see so much of is multiple different kinds of detergent, multiple different scenty bean things, multiple different, all of these toxic things. You don't need any of that. So if you remove the unnecessary, you're left with just what you need. And it's much easier you only need one basket. I say get one basket. That's all I have. And it takes care of everything. If you want to have like another backstock basket for like maybe if you adopt my ideas, which I hope everyone who listens will, and you want, to have extra baking soda and, vinegar in there and extra detergent in your backstock, have a basket labeled backstock so you have it handy. I get it when, you go to the store and there's a buy two, get one free. It happens to me with my detergent. So I have a backstock basket for that. Right. And then I have the one I use and it just has, I know what's in there. I don't have to label it, but if you want to take a step further and have it labeled with laundry or your softener and your detergent, mine's all in one and a pretty decorative, something nice that you like to look at. And then shelving, again, if you're adopting these methods, you don't need more than that. You don't need to have a big, if you have an iron in there. But here's the thing with that I want to talk about is if you're caring for your clothes properly, you don't need to press them. Because what you do, here's a trick. If you've got the time to do it, which I think, take out what I do. And I get people are busy and maybe they don't have the time to just say, okay, today's the day I'm going to do laundry. You kind of do it when you have time. And I get that. But if you do schedule it and you do give yourself that time, once they come out of the washer, you put them in the dryer on a high heat for just a minute or two, a couple minutes with the fabric softener sheet. Let it go for a couple minutes. What that steams, it'll steam the clothes, and then you hang everything. The clothes, right? Your shirts, and you hang everything. And then I use these things. This hangs over the door. And then I hang, if you have limited space, this is so great. And then I hang everything on the door, and then the wrinkles just fall out. They're perfect. You don't need to press anything. Okay. Just let them. Yes, that works like a charm. I've been doing this forever. Okay. And I actually brought some examples. Like this is something that I didn't press. And it's just a shirt all the time. And it doesn't have any wrinkles in it at all. Here's a t-shirt, a 100% cotton t-shirt. There's no wrinkles because
you could just wear that.
I hung it damp. And then the wrinkles just fall out. And then I want to talk too about hangers are important. So like anything with like this tank, I love these jeweled hangers you can use. I have another example of one that works well for other things. But like you want to make sure that you don't have those hangers that are going to leave a mark. These are rounded. Okay. So they are not going to leave a mark on the clothes. And it can very easily do that with the wrong hanger, particularly if you're going to hang them damp, because it'll take the shape of whatever you're hanging it on because it's damp, right? But as you can see, that did not happen with this shirt because this is the right hanger. So then what I like is it keeps this from sliding. And then here's another type of hanger that has the same shape. These are some people say velvet or flocked. Get these on Amazon, super cheap. They're great. They have this here too. But what I
A
like
little like
about these,
notch.
yeah, little notch, yeah, exactly. And thank you. I couldn't think, but yes, but they are you can't see what this is or you can't like feel, but it's a sort of velvet. And so what it does, it hugs the fabric,
Mhm.
which will keep it from falling off, and
Uh-huh.
it just keeps it snug. So these are great for that. And they maximize space because they're so thin. So
Mm.
it maximizes space. So if you have a small closet, these are great for that. These take up more space, but I use them because I only have minimal things. I always have more than
Yep.
enough room in my closet. So, but if you're one of those people who has more stuff, then you probably, need and you need to maximize it. Or if it's
Mm.
just small, it's just not enough. Those are great. And I'll tell
Yeah.
you too, that is such a great way to make a closet look really polished is having all matching hangers.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I'd
So
like to jump in there for a sec. What's kind
yeah.
of what I was thinking was really good about that is, quite a few of my clothes go on hangers. Some of them don't, but I have to hang them over a line basically. And then afterwards, I have to take them in. Then I have to put them on a hanger after I've ironed them. In this case, you put them on the hanger, you hang them up outside or inside to dry, and then you put it in your closet, presumably. You don't have to do any of the folding,
No.
ironing. You don't even have to put it on a hanger
Now
because it's already on a hanger.
that's exactly right. And that
Mm-hmm.
is also part of my system
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, that's connected to other parts of the home. You know, Here's the thing, we can talk about laundry organization, but if your closet's not organized, it's going to make the laundry system not work as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what I do is when I wear something, that hanger's empty. Well, I take that hanger and I put it in a section of my closet. So when I do laundry, I gather my hangers and I take them to the laundry room.
That's so true
It's
because
yeah, it's just a little, you just those little extra steps that you take
mm,
that just make the process of doing that task that you may find daunting or not pleasurable becomes more pleasurable, or at least it can, because you've got this system. And I think too, to your point and question there, I think, and the feedback I get from clients about this is that they hate doing laundry often because it, their clothes end up not looking great, and it's like they feel like, oh gosh, I got to spend my time doing that. And then they wind up a wrinkled mess or shrunk or, and it's like, I get it. But if you had the system and you take a little extra time and effort, your clothes will be beautiful and you'll enjoy the process of doing a task that was once not as fun.
mm.
So,
Great, thank you. I'm going to be doing that with quite a few of my dresses that require a lot of ironing. I'll see if I'll test it out.
please test it out and let me know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, Perfect. And so, yeah, do you mind explaining a little bit more about how sort of closets sort of interact with the laundry space?
Yes, for sure. So, I mean, obviously, if you have everything organized in your closet for the most part, you know where to find things. And then two, if you have that extra space to put the hangers, it's such an easy, you know, uh, it's a minimal extra effort in the time in that moment, right? And it will kind of let you know too, oh, that there are all my hangers. That's how many things. And then I want to get too far into another part of what I hope we'll talk about, because the staying organized, because when we buy clothes, okay, we buy things, we know we do it because I do it too. So it's like, I'm going to maybe use one of those hangers that came from a dirty, it's in the laundry basket. So I might not have enough if I'm bringing new things in, right?
Mm.
So that's something that we'll maybe talk about a little bit later. But in any case, to answer your question, you want, if you're not bringing anything new in, let's assume you're not, then the amount of hangers that you have is the exact number of hangers you're going to need to take to the laundry room, because they're going to just, go back onto the hangers that they were on. Right. So if the closet's organized, and obviously if you have the space for the sorting for those bins, right? So you have to be organized in order to have space for that. And then, extra space to have to where to put those that's designated for those hangers. Yeah, I think that's really the system. It's really as simple as that. Obviously we can, dive more into closet organization. But as it relates to laundry, not really beyond what I've said, I don't think. But because how I organize a closet isn't necessarily with how I'm going to launder my clothes.
Yeah.
That's more with how I'm going to wear them, colors and style, so that sort of thing. So that's sort of separate, I feel like. But as far as, the sorting, having the space for that, if that's going to really help with, the task of doing, which I think would in any home, and then to getting into that, adopting that habit of, okay, let me, when I take a pant or shirt out and just put that hanger all in the same spot, just put it right there, and then you have it and you could just grab and go, versus having to go like this, right, and sort through to grab each one. Just do it then, just put it there. So
I very much relate to the trying to find my hangers because they're all just mixed in with my clothes. And then, I need more hangers for all the clothes I've just washed, and like having to go through and then not finding any because I've got too many clothes.
Yeah. Well, I would love it if you maybe did that and adopted that little
I think
tip.
It's a very easy thing to do, and I think I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah, good. Let me know how it works out for you. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, will do. And so, after you've, washed your clothes, you've hung them to dry, it seems like for you, the process is pretty simple. You pick it up and you put it in the closet. But what about for things that need to be folded? Socks, shorts. I don't hang my shorts, that type of thing.
Great question. And so I still separate darks and lights as far as those go. So I refer to those clothes as soft clothes. And soft clothes to me are like that t-shirt, that tank top, my, intimate, like okay, so here's the thing. Like if you've got, if you're someone, again, there's some nuanced things here, right? So if you have like some pricey, intimates that you want, we use a wash bag. There's a mesh bag and you put those in there. There are washing machines now. If you've noticed, there's some really advanced ones that have the, it's kind of, it lifts, it's like a thing that one of my clients has that actually lifts up, and then you lay flat all of and it washes everything flat. So it's not disrupting the fabric. It's really gentle on things. So so if you have one of those, great. But if you don't, use a wash bag. And then those can go separately. So nothing gets like if it's like a lace thing or whatever, things can get attached to it or whatever. And you don't want that. You really want to protect those delicate fabrics. Anything silk, of course, I feel like should always be washed separately anyways. But to answer your question, soft clothes. So yeah, those can go in and go through the cycle in the dryer. And I would do like a medium heat. The only time I ever use high heat is for towels, and then for a couple minutes for all the things that I'm hanging up that is going to go on a hanger. I fold my like leggings. I fold my like sports bras. I fold my obviously socks. But to be totally transparent, I do not fold my panties. I really don't, because I'm like, they're in a drawer. That's the only thing that's in that drawer, and they just go in there. That's not a thing for me. I don't care about that. But my socks get folded, and those can go in the dryer through the full cycle. And then I fold as I take them out, and then take things to the closet and put them away. So I file fold. Everyone's situation's different. Their setup. So file folding is what I do for all my leggings. And that's basically, and there's a video actually on my Instagram where I show you how to do that. So it's a half, and then a half again, and then a half again, and then they get stacked in a bin inside my drawer. And then it is really great because then you can see every pair that you have, and really easily. And so it's so bold.
So it sounds like you're, folding everything and putting things away immediately after it's clean. And I feel like this is where in my house, I mean, is that true?
Absolutely. So,
okay.
Yes.
Gabriella, yes. I think this is where I think me and my partner kind of fall flat. We throw it in a bag behind our sofa, and it lives there for a week or two before we fold everything in one go.
Okay. That just gave me like a heart palpitation. No, absolutely not. You're going to have to change that immediately. No, you do not want to do that. Okay. Because that doesn't work for you functionally. It just doesn't work for your mind space, because I don't know. I don't care who you are. You're thinking about that. You are. You're like, there's laundry sitting behind the couch. And the reason you're thinking about it is because when you go to get something that you need, are you really going to want to go rifle through a bag behind the couch to get it? No, you don't. You want to go to the drawer where it should go, right? So what I say to that is, take the time to just do it, at that time. Do it immediately. Just do that. Because here's the thing too, and this kind of goes back to and sort of full circle to really everything. I mean, if laundry is such a daunt, now granted, if you have about a lot of kids, that can get to be a lot. I do get that. But, for the smaller family, maybe consider you have too much. Like maybe, you know what I mean? Because I would look at that. If the task is just so overwhelming, look at like, what's producing all of this? How are we getting here? Is it just that we're not taking the time to maybe do laundry enough? Because then it gets to be where it is too overwhelming. And then that's when you wind up with a basket or a bag behind the couch or wherever, because it's just too much, maybe. So maybe looking at why that is, like where are you spending your time that you weren't able or didn't want to just take care of it at the time?
I can tell you. I think it's partly just the way that my partner and I are working and living. So we mostly work from home. So we tend to do the washing during the workday when it's sunny, and I might take 5 minutes during my lunch break to hang things out and take things in again. But I don't want to spend the rest of my lunch break during my workday folding all my washing. So I put them in a bag, and then I'm like, oh, at the end of the day, I'll fold it and take advantage of the beautiful sun that we so rarely have in winter, and make sure everything gets dried as quickly as possible. But then, end of the day, I'm too tired to fold my washing, and then it just kind of piles up every day.
Yeah. No, listen, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Hopefully, hopefully in a perfect world, you're going to be able to do both. You're going to be able
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy the sun, enjoy all the things you want to do, and then still devote the time that you need to ensuring that your clothes are folded and put away.
Mm.
Because life is better when you're not digging through a bag to find
Yeah,
something.
I know. I mean, this is something that my partner and I have. We've talked about this because we both do find it annoying to have all these bags behind the sofa. We tried doing what you suggested, which was putting away as soon as we bring it in, but it sort of fell apart after a day or so. So I think we'll try it again. We'll have a talk. We're also moving soon, and we're going to set up a new laundry system as well as everything else in the house. So I think that's going to really be a big improvement.
I love that. Oh, good.
Mm.
Okay. Well,
And
maybe you
the reason I'm
have some,
talking to you is get some advice from you.
some ideas. Okay, good. Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. I hope you have some little nuggets of value
Yeah.
that you can take with
Mm-hmm.
you and apply in your new home.
So I've got a bit of a mystery for you. I think everyone's experienced this. We have all these little labels inside our clothing, and they all have these mysterious little symbols on them. Sometimes they're easy to read. They might say, wash at 30 degrees, dry clean only. But sometimes they don't have anything, just the little symbols. Can you tell me what they mean?
Oh gosh.
Or do they mean anything?
They do. And I have let me see if I can give like a more concrete example here so I can tell you. Um, let me see. So I wanted to talk about, I was like, this is pretty faded, actually. Okay. So let's just to answer that question. So how I learned I've been doing my own laundry since I was 11, by the way. So it's been a long time. And I had to read. That's what I did. I read the label so that I would know what to do. And that is really how I learned what goes with what or what to do. And when in doubt, if you have a label that just has a picture that we don't know what that is, wash it in cold. Do cold and do just maybe a gentle cycle, cold and a mild detergent, and just all the things that we've talked about. That's the default, because cold is not going to to me, cleans the best. It almost sounds counterintuitive. People think, oh, hot. You have to go hot, hot, hot particularly with their whites. That's not true. Cold actually is better for white and everything else. So I really I use two temperature settings. So really, to answer the question, the symbol is going to mean don't dry. So what are the rules of thumb? Obviously, wool, do not put in the dryer ever. It is going to shrink. It is going to ruin it. You never want to do that. Silk. So natural fabrics typically need to be laid flat to dry. or dry cleaned, and definitely cold water, and definitely not in the dryer. So that's probably, those symbols are typically that: no dryer, no heat, lay flat to dry. That those are the symbols. But reading the tags is great, because if you're not sure, obviously, knowing what type of fabric it is extremely important to know how to care for it. But then the label is going to tell you. So what I would do, so if you have darks and lights and they all say to, wash cold, separate them and wash cold. Still separate them out. Separate lights from darks always. And then neutral. So like this, you can't really tell, maybe if you can't tell what this is, but this to me is a light color for sure. And then that was obviously navy is dark. So grays, blacks, navies, those are all darks. And then I want to say one more thing too about it. Denim should always be washed separately on its own, because
really?
Yes, not only does denim bleed, the fabric will transfer, bleed onto other fabrics, but it also leaves lint, like it sheds. Denim is a fabric that sheds. So if, for example, if you have a denim with, something else, even dark, particularly with dark, you're going to see that on the other clothes because it sheds. You'll see it's not good, and it doesn't really come out like you would think, oh, that's just going to come out. No, you'll see it still on the the other clothes that were in there. So yeah, denim is always separate. And then the other thing too, if you've got time to just additional step to protect the integrity of the garment, button and zip every pant before you wash. Everything should be, so it's not flailing around in there. It keeps it, together.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then intimates too. I always put my intimates in the wash bag. It's a mesh wash bag, and it goes in there, and, snap the, any bras or things like that. Just keep them together. It protects the integrity of the clothes. It just does.
Okay.
So,
interesting. I mean, I put my bras in bags, but I don't snap them together because extra step.
But think about this. That little hook could get caught, and it just, I don't know, it's flailing around. And so you just want to keep it kind of contained in there, and it keeps it from like stretching out unnecessarily.
Yeah. Okay, so going to move on to the practice and habits section. So I'd love to know, what is a practice that you do to keep your home organized?
Okay, I love this question. It's my favorite question. A practice and habit that that's every day for me is being a very intentional consumer. So everything is intentional. And really all the things that we've talked about today are intentional, which is why, the name of my business is Tristin Intentional. Everything is rooted in intention. And when you think about and approach every decision that you make with intention, that decision becomes so easy because there's meaning attached to it. There's purpose attached to it. So the way that I stay organized is being intentional about my life. I only bring new things into my environment that have purpose, that have value. I ask myself, is this going to bring value to my life? I mean, I'm so dialed in really with everything that if I'm going out for something, it's intentional. It's something I actually need, right? So I would say that the most important thing is just being a conscientious and intentional consumer. Obviously having, and then if you already have that lifestyle that you've adopted within the home where everything has a purpose, then anything you bring in is going to have a purpose. But if you don't, and then I would say this too, um, because this is something I hear from my clients a lot. They're like, oh, but the grandparents and friends gifts and they bring and they this. A lot of it's like grandparents. So for people with kids, and they just have an overwhelming amount of toys and things. And I said, you're in control of your environment. This is what I tell my clients. This is what I want your listeners to really take away, that everyone's in control. And the response that I tell people to say is, you want to start always with a positive. You want to start with, we love how generous that you are. We love that you want to get the kids and us things. But what we would love more, you can just say, be very direct about it. Say, we're very intentional about what we're bringing in our home. And we would just much rather spend time with you. Come over. If they can't do that, there's a way, just give them an experience. Maybe it's going, movie tickets or going to do something, or it's just some kind of experience versus a thing, right? A toy. And that's really the and then two, just like for me, I don't have to think much about the things that I want, because I don't really want a lot. If I do, I'll get it, but still the question is always, is this valuable? Is this going to add value? Is this add meaning? Is this going to enhance, And I think that once you live that intentional lifestyle, the things that you want change. So you want less things, truly. So it ends up sort of taking care of itself, right? In terms of just that desire goes away because it's just not serving you, the things that you already have. And also too, when you really think about the things that are in your home and you think and you ask, is this something that's bringing my life value? And it doesn't, you remove it. Well, oftentimes you just wind up with a whole lot less than when, and then you don't bring in things, once that environment is a reflection of the things that are useful and meaningful to you and valuable, you don't want to bring anything that isn't. Mm-hmm. And you won't allow anything that isn't from anyone else either. Mm-hmm. So that, I think, is really the foundation for maintaining an organized home, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not necessarily don't accept anything, but just know what you're bringing in and why. Be intentional.
Be intentional. Yeah. I mean, and again, this comes from clients, all of this. It really does, because it has been such a core complaint. Like, they have a pretty good handle on their own things, but when it comes to, like kids, that's when things really get out of control, because other people are getting them things and it just becomes not manageable. And then them too, like they'll gifts, people just wanting, the parents getting gifts for everyone in the house, and you just have to say, no, thank you, but no, we'd rather spend time with you.
I went overseas recently, and like 10 years ago when I went overseas, I'd have to get everyone a souvenir. My parents said to me, don't buy me any souvenirs. I don't want anything. If you see something that you think they would really like that thing, then you should get it. But otherwise, so I went recently on holiday, and I didn't get my dad anything. I got my mum some fabric because she's a sewer. And he was happy. He was like, thank you for not getting me anything.
I love that. See, my family's the same, thank God. Baked goods. I do a lot of baking, and I give edible gifts. People, you would think I gave them $1 million. I swear. So every Christmas, that's what I do. You're going to get cookies, biscotti I make all the time, like things like that. And people love it. They absolutely love it. It's consumable, which is great. They don't have to figure out a place to put it or feel obligated to put something somewhere that they may not even really like. And then they have to pretend. And, who needs all that? So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that practice with us and sharing so many tips as well for, how to manage our laundry. I know that I will be taking many of the things you've said into my new laundry. But if people want to find out more about you and about your business, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find. So I have a website, tristintentional.com, Instagram, tristintentional_living. Those are pretty much the most active. And then like on my Instagram, there's a way to connect with me, and obviously you can DM, and there's a link to my site, and you can, just reach out. If you have a question about something, I love questions. So please feel free to send me a direct message. Happy to answer.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we'll put those links in our show notes so people can find you easily. And just a note for any of our, audio listeners, if you wanted to see, some of the gadgets, the hangers that Tristin was showing us today, have a look on our YouTube, and you can see exactly what we were talking about. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Gabriella. This was so much fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And
You've been listening to Room by Room, produced by the Home Organization Science Labs, a division of LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes like this from across 10 life management perspectives can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and other podcasting apps available on your smart devices. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating our show, sharing it, and subscribing to our channel, as it helps other people find it so we can grow and bring you more quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website at ho.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Gabriella Joustra. Thanks for tuning in.